In this lesson, I'll show you how to correct 3 very common mistakes made in English grammar. And those are to do with adjectives. Okay? Now, what are adjectives? Adjectives are the words that we use to describe a noun or a pronoun. What is a noun? A noun is usually a person, a place, or a thing. Okay? And adjectives are words like these. For example, good or bad, right? You could have a good day or a bad day. Or you could talk about a short person, a tall person, right? Happy or sad, a happy event, a sad event. A fast car or a slow car. Hot weather or cold weather, right? In all these cases, all these words are adjectives. And there are some very common mistakes that occur when people of different language backgrounds use adjectives in English because English adjectives behave differently than the adjectives in their language. In particular, if you speak Spanish, French, Portuguese, Arabic, Hebrew, or Vietnamese, you will especially benefit from this lesson because in your languages, the situation is different. Okay? So let's see what these mistakes are and how to correct them. Here we go. So the first mistake that sometimes happens when we're using adjectives is in the order. Okay? The order of the adjective in the sentence. For example, this is the common mistake that is made. They have a house big. So what was wrong here? The order, the placement of the adjective. So in English, we never say they have a house big. We say they have a big house. He has a red car. So in all of these cases, big was the adjective, red was the adjective, and all of these adjectives in English have to come before the noun and not after, as in many other languages. All right? So be especially careful of that if your language has the reverse order. Okay? Keep the order this way, with the adjective, generally speaking, before the noun. Next, another mistake that sometimes happens, again because of language influences, is with agreement. What does that mean? Let's look at the example. The mistake is, those houses are very big. So here, the person tried to make the adjective match the word houses. But in English, we don't do that. We don't need to do that. In English, the adjective doesn't change. That's all. For example, those houses are very big. So in this sentence, even though we're talking about many houses, we don't have to make it plural. If also in English, it doesn't have to agree in terms of singular and plural. It also doesn't have to agree in terms of gender, male or female, okay? In English, things don't have any gender, okay? Chairs, tables, it's not that something is masculine or feminine as in many other languages. In English, things have no gender. So you don't have to match it in that way, not because it's singular or plural, not because it's male or female, or masculine or feminine. It doesn't matter. The adjective stays the same. Okay, so we say those houses are very big, those cars are red, right? We don't need to change that word just because what we were referring to was something plural. Okay, so that's another point to keep in mind. The third point is to do with comparison. When do adjectives change? When we use them to compare something. So for example, this is a mistake. This house is more big than that one. In English, that's not the rule that we follow for all adjectives. Now, there is a separate lesson that I have made on comparison adjectives and how to use them. If you make mistakes of this kind, here I'm just going to review it very basically. but you should watch the entire lesson on comparative adjectives to understand this rules and how they work, okay? So let's look at some quick examples. So this is incorrect in English. What it should be is, this house is bigger than that one. Or, that test was harder. Not more hard, harder. So how do you know when to say add the ER or when to say more? Well, again, very quickly, the rule is something like this. If your adjective, the original word, the adjective like this, is a very short one with one syllable, like big, then when we want to make it comparative, we just add ER, or sometimes we double the letter, but the sound is basically big, bigger. Okay? Hot, hotter. Cold, colder. Got it? Now, if the original adjective is one or two syllables, but ends with a Y, then, for example, easy, right? Two syllables, easy, or busy. Two syllables ending with Y. Then we cancel the Y and we add IER. So easy, easier. This test is easy. That test was easier. Okay? This week I'm busy. Last week I was busier. Okay? And if the original adjective is two or more syllables, but no Y or anything like that, then we have to use the word more before that to make it comparative. That house is modern, but this house is more modern. Okay? So that's the basic rule. But again, if you make any of these kind of mistakes, then I suggest you do watch the fuller video so you really understand this part very well and you don't keep making these mistakes forever. Because I have seen that many students struggle with this particular point. They do usually get this point, they usually get this, but this sometimes takes a little more practice, so make sure you do that. Okay? Now, let's practice these and see if you can master them right now. Okay? Let's do that. All right. So now, I've written 8 sentences on the board, and just for you to know, they all have mistakes, and you're going to help me correct them. Okay? So let's get started. We'll correct them, and then we will say the right one. Okay? So, number 1. Today is more hot than yesterday. That student made a mistake. Can you check it and correct it? What should it be? Today is hotter than yesterday. Okay? Say it after me. Today is hotter than yesterday. Good. Okay. Number 2. I'd like a coffee large, please. So, this friend of ours also made a mistake. Can you correct it? It should be, I'd like a large coffee, please. I'd like a large coffee, please. So what happened here? Here, the order was wrong. Here, it was comparison. Okay? So, say this one after me. I'd like a large coffee, please. All right? Also, when you're learning English or any language, say what you're learning out loud. It helps you, not only when you write your exercises, but when your ears can hear it, correct? Then you can learn much faster because after a while, your ear will tell you, no, that doesn't sound right. And that's a great stage to reach, okay? Number 3, those flowers are beautifuls. That's wrong. It should be those flowers are beautiful. Say it after me. Those flowers are beautiful. In this case, the student mistakenly thought that because this was plural, that they had to make that plural. But no. In English, the adjective always stays the same in terms of agreement. Okay, that was a mistake of agreement. Number 4, she works in a company high tech. That's wrong. What should it be? She works in a in a high-tech company. High-tech is the adjective here, and company is the noun. So say it after me. She works in a high-tech company. Okay? So this was also a mistake of order. Okay? Remember, the adjective goes where? Before the noun. That's it. All right. Number 5. Laptops are more cheap now. That's wrong. It should be what? Think about it. Laptops are cheaper now. Say it after me. Laptops are cheaper now. Okay? Good, good. You're getting it. Number 6. Also a mistake. Many different shirts are on sale. That's incorrect. It should be many different shirts. Many different shirts are on sale. That was a mistake of agreement. Say it after me. Many different shirts are on sale. Good. Number 7. The malls are more busy after 6 p.m. That's incorrect. Let's say it correctly now. The malls are busier. Good. Let's say the whole sentence. The malls are busier after 6 p.m. Good. And number 8, so that one was a mistake of what? Of comparison, right? And number 8, she gave me some advice good. That's incorrect. You know by now. It should be what? She gave me some good advice. So this was a mistake in the order, okay? So, as you can see, these are 3 very common areas in which students sometimes make mistakes. In case you are making any of these mistakes, this is the chance to stop doing that once you realize that in English it doesn't quite work that way. So really practice that, okay? And also, what you can do, go to our website at www.engvid.com. There you can do a test on this, a little quiz, just to review it, make sure you've really got it, so that these kind of mistakes are gone. And one step at a time, one mistake at a time, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it, and your English will improve every single day. All right? So, to get more lessons like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to ring the bell so that you know whenever I have a new lesson that is out. Okay? Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now. All the best with your English.